Hello everyone. So this video is basically about deep CNN image quality detector. So let me tell you let me tell you what this title is saying, because we have written deep CNN image quality detector. So these uh, words actually says a very big thing. So basically it is nothing, but we are using deep learning over here, and CNN is just nothing, just convolution neural network. And why I titled this image quality detector, it is because in this notebook what I'm doing nothing but I'm just doing, if anyone is uploading their picture, so I am testing the quality of that image by using this deep learning model. Okay, so for this particular thing, what I have done, I have imported some libraries, which is image input output random TensorFlow. So I'm using TensorFlow's version 2.0.0 over here. Okay, and then I am using TensorFlow datasets only, then TensorFlow Keras layer, then some utils, then I have some few functions in utils file. So I'm importing it from that file, and and I have one more data set, which is the M quality data sets. Okay, so you can even see here that my TensorFlow version is 2.0.0. Okay, so this is a few words for the introduction which I have written over here to make it more understandable. So you can see in this notebook, we are basically implementing deep CNN image quality predictor. So, and I'm using some TensorFlow 2.0 concepts over here. First of all, we have downloaded and prepared a dataset using a tf.data.dataset builder. Then I'm defining a TensorFlow input pipeline to pre-process the dataset records using the tf.data API. Then I'm creating a CNN model using the tf.keras function, which you have seen in the first blog that I am imported the tf.keras functional API. Then I'm defining a custom training loop for the objective error app model. Then obviously the training of the objective error map, and then the subjective score model, then using the trained subjective score model to make predictions. Okay, so what does DIQA? So it is nothing but deep image quality process assessment, deep learning image quality assessment. You can see in this we are basically focusing on solving some of the most concerning challenges of applying deep learning to image quality assessment. So you can see some advantages of this model. It is basically not limited to work exclusively with natural scene statistics images. It prevents overfitting as well by splitting the training into two phases. One is feature learning and another is mapping learned features to subjective scores. And there are few problems as well, because we cannot say that we succeed something without struggle. So there are some challenges also which I faced. So the cost of generating dataset for IQA is high because it requires expert supervision. So I therefore the fundamental IQA benchmarks are comprised to solely a few thousands of records. You can see I have a few data sets samples. One is live IQ here, which has 29 references, 5 distortions, 5 severity, and 1011 samples. The another data was TID 2008 and TID 2013. You can see the both are consisting 1701 and 3025 respectively, and the last is CSIQ dataset, which contains 30 references and 930 total samples. Okay, so this is about the dataset and the problem. So the total amount of sample doesn't exist 4000 records for any one of them. So I shifted to IQA dataset as well. So okay. You can see I have written that IQA benchmarks only contain a limited amount of records that might not be enough to train a CNN, because you know deep learning models obviously want huge amount of data set to train it. So however, for this guide purpose we are going to use the live data set. It is comprised of 29 reference images and 5 different distortions and 5 severity levels each. So the first task is to basically download and prepare the data set. So I have created a couple of TensorFlow dataset builders for image quality assessment. Okay, so you can see over here. Here I am downloading and preparing the dataset live IQA. Okay, and then obviously you can see I am running these two commands over here in this block. Then what this command is doing, it is traveling and writing it to here, which is my system's location. And then after downloading and preparing the data, we turn the builder into a data set and shuffle it. So note that the batch is equal to 1. So the reason is that each image has a different shape. So increasing the batch TensorFlow will raise an error. Okay, so now you can see in this block what I'm doing. The output is now a generator, so therefore to access it we use a bracket operator, so which causes an error. So there are two ways to access the images in that generator. The first way is to turn the generator into an iterator and extract a single sample at a time using the next function. Okay, you can see over here in the ninth block I'm doing the same. And then there is obviously another way as well to extract the samples from the generator by taking samples with for loop. So in the 10th block I'm doing this by that. And then you can see after running the 10th block, in the left hand side we have a image. You can see that is the distortion of that image is 25 and it is fast faded, which is having shape like this. And the next one is blur image, Gaussian blur. This was the original image and this is the fast faded image, and this is the original image and this is the blurred image. Okay, so now okay, let's move on to the methodology. First one is image normalization. So the first step for DIQ is to pre-process the images. So the images is basically first converted into the grayscale and then we pass a low filter to apply. Then the low pass filter is defined as like this, where the low frequency image is the result of the following algorithm. The algorithm I mentioned it over here. Okay, and see, now let's move to the next block. Here you can see over here I have defined a function which named is image preprocess. What I'm doing over here is see why I'm defining this function. The main reason for this is the main reason why I'm doing normalization is because the human visual system is not sensitive to changes in the low frequency band first, and the second is image distortions barely affect the low frequency component of images. You can see in this image you can hardly our human visual system can hardly say that there is, you know, a mere difference between these two images. We can say they both are the same. We can hardly say that this image is quite faded from the left hand side of images. Okay, so that's why I'm doing image normalization. You can see I went to these 4 steps for that. You can see this is the original and this is the image after applying the low pass filters. Now the objective error map. So for the first model, objective errors are basically used as a proxy to take advantage of the effect of increasing data. So the loss function for these is defined by this formula which I have mentioned over there. Then using that formula, I have written the code in 13th and 14th block accordingly, and finding the and mapping the errors. Then I am mapping the reliability in this reliability map function using the above formula. Then the average of the reliability map and testing on these images. You can see the butterfly image and the image which is having 5 caps. You can see the left hand side is the original image and right is after applying the average reliability map. Then the loss function. See, now here we are creating the custom loss. Okay, so after creating the custom loss, we actually need to tell TensorFlow how to differentiate it. The good thing is that we can take advantage of automatic differentiation using tf.gradient tape. TensorFlow has an inbuilt function in 2.0 which is named as tf.gradient tape. Then we are using the optimizers, and then the training comes. So for the training phases, it is basically convenient to utilize the tf dot data input pipelines to produce a much cleaner and readable code. The only requirement is to create the function to apply to the input. So this is the structure of the CNN model, which is depicted in this image. This is the summary of the CNN model. Okay, we have 10, you can see we have 9 layers, including the input layer we have 10. When we are running the epoch, then we can see the subjective score, error score, and finally we are having this mean square, error and loss, this the statistics, and finally the prediction, which is 27, and target is this. A target is this. So this is how to utilize the tf.data module to create easy and easy to read and memory efficient data pipelines. So also we implemented, also we can implement this model using the Keras functional API as well. So this model was basically trained with a custom training loop that uses the auto differentiation feature from TensorFlow. So thank you.